In this RoutCAD application video, we will see how we use the RoutCAD CAD-CAM software for CNC milling to make a Star Trek Enterprise out of a 1/2 inch plywood. We have already done some work on the project and we will complete the project together. The first thing to do is to define the material that we are using. In this case, we want a material that is 1/2 inch thick, so we can go to the machine menu and click on material selection. In this case, we have selected other because it allows us to enter any thickness that we want. And we have entered 1/2 inch because we'll be making the Star Trek Enterprise out of 1/2 inch plywood. The next thing that we need to configure before we start this project is we need to go to the configuration menu and click on configuration panel. And obviously we would like to make sure we work in a language that is more suitable to us, in this case English. And also we'll be working in imperial unit in inch. The next important thing to configure is the work area. This is the work piece that we want to machine. In this case, we have a piece of plywood that is 13 inch wide by 18 inch long. So this is what we'll be using to make the Star Trek Enterprise. The next thing that is also important is the depth of cut. In this case, we are going, we will do only one pass, and we are going about 0.6 inch deep. The material itself is 0.5, and the reason why is because we're using a very small router bit, which is 1/8 of an inch, and we are able to do it in one pass. So we're going to define the depth of cut as 0.59 inch, which will give us only one pass. And also the depth of cut per pass is 0.59 inch, which would give us only one pass. Now, when we are happy with this setting, we need to click on Apply and Save. Now, we are ready to complete this project. I've already done quite a bit of work on this project, and we will complete it together. We've done the bigger piece of the Enterprise. There are two sides that are going to be glued together, and then there are those two engines that will go on this V shape. Now we have to make one circle to complete one of the engine. It's a half a circle, and we'll see how we can make this half circle. To make the half circle, we go to Draw, and we click on Circle and Arc, and then we're going to be drawing with 3 points. Now, just before we draw the circle, we need to, in this case, we need to give it 3 points, or we can also give it a center and another point. But we do not have a center over here, so what we will do, we'll draw one line from this point to this point and use that as a guide to draw the circle. So what we need to do is we go to Draw, we click on Line, and we're going to be drawing with the mouse. We check Use Mouse, and we click on Continue. Now, we would like to use the snap because we want to work accurately, so we press F3 to enable the snap. And the snap option are midpoint, which is good, endpoint. And this is what we need because we're going to be snapping from this endpoint to that endpoint. So all we need to do now is we click the left mouse button close to the first endpoint. We drag the mouse and we click again the left mouse button, click next to the next endpoint. And we click the right mouse button to cancel the action of drawing line. So now we have a guide, and this guide is, we will use it to draw a circle to finish the engine that we didn't do over here. To do that, we go to Draw, and we click on Circle. And in this case, we want to draw with the center point and the radius. We want to draw with the center point plus radius, but we want to use the mouse. So those are the options we have. So we click on continue. Now it's going to draw a circle, and we need to give it the center. Now we have midpoint selected, so we're going to click close to the center of this line, and we will drag to enlarge the circle, and we're going to click close to this point of that other line to finish the circle. So here we have it. We have done a full circle to complete that engine, but there are some part of the circle that we do not need, so we will erase them. So we will break that circle, because if we click the middle mouse button on that circle, we can see it's a full circle, but we would like to break it and delete half of it. So what we do, we go to the edit, and we're going to click on break. We're going to click on the circle because we want to break that circle, and we would like to break that circle with this line, so we click on this line. Now, if we click the middle mouse button on this circle again, we can see we have one part of the circle that's over there, arc that's over there, and another one that's over there. This one didn't quite break, so we're going to try to break it again. We're going to click the left mouse button on it, and we're going to click another line, for example, this line, to break it, to see if it did. So we're going to click again the middle mouse button, and now, this case it breaks. Sometimes if it doesn't break, we can also mirror one of these lines and then try breaking again. Sometimes there might be a small gap and there is no intersection. That's why sometimes it's not breaking. So now we are done with that. What we're going to do next, we're going to erase these three objects that we don't need anymore. So we go to Erase Object. We're going to click on this object, that, and that. So here we have it. Now we have the two engines. The two engines are ready that we can work on it. Now we're going to focus on the V shape that is holding the engine. With RoutCAD, basically you draw your shape as you want them to be, as designed. You can use coordinate to do that, or you can use snapping to do that. There's many ways you can draw objects, but when you would like to machine them, obviously you need to take into account the diameter of the cutting tool, of the routing tool, the router bit. So in this case, what you will do is you will offset this V shape, and then we will define the routing sequence of the offsetted object to end up exactly with what we have drawn. So this is quite an easy process. To offset, we go to Edit, and we're going to go to Automatic Contour Offsetting. Okay, and now because we have already defined our drill bit as 1/8 of an inch, the software will always offset by half of the milling tool diameter. So that's quite convenient. So now we're going to start offsetting. We're going to offset all these objects, and then at the end we will basically route them. So to offset the object, we just bring the mouse close to that line, and we click the left mouse button to offset the first object. Then we go to the next one, we click on it to offset it, and we do the same thing. And we're going to do that for all the V shape, and automatically RoutCAD automatically readjusts the last object to make a closed contour. As long as the original contour was closed, the final contour will also be closed. So we have done it. Basically what we have done is we have, after we have drawn that V shape, which is holding the two Star Trek engine, we have basically offsetted them by half the milling tool diameter. Now we're going to complete this Star Trek, and we will basically define the machining sequence. We already started to define the machining sequence somehow, and we can see what is in thick red is basically the representation of the milling tool diameter going through the material. And as you can see, what is in gray is the material, and what is in red is the lack of material or empty space. So basically that cutting tool is going through because we define, if we click the middle mouse button, we define a depth of cut of 0.59 inch, but the material itself is only 0.5 inch. So it's basically going through the material. Now, we are seeing the diameter of the cutting tool because in the view, we have selected show route arrow, but we're going to select another option. We're going to select display route arrow, and this will basically display how the CNC will make its cutting tool path. It will start from the 0 location. It will move in the air, go in the material, and start machining this sequence. Then it will go and machine that other sequence. Now, this we will see how we're going to modify somehow this machining sequence to get somehow better machining sequence. Now, this machining sequence is good, except that it's not a good idea to start one part and then move to the next one before we finish. So what we're going to do, we're going to erase the machining sequence on this part, and then we're going to finish the machining sequence over here. To erase a machining sequence, all we have to do is we go to erase. We're going to erase route, which is erasing the machining sequence, and we're going to select window to make sure that we erase the sequence, the machining sequence in a window. So we're going to click the left mouse button, drag the mouse, and click the left mouse button again to erase the machining sequence in that window. So now it's a lot better. We starting from the origin, the CNC railroad bit is moving up in the air, then go in that material and then start machining it. Now we need to continue this machining sequence. So to continue, we need to basically go to machine, and we're going to select route semi-automatically. Now, we don't want to use the window. We want to use the mouse to select one element at a time. And also sometimes it's good to click the left mouse button on an object to get information, and it turns into another color to see how it will be. So what we need to do is we're going to click the left mouse button here to continue the machining, and we go to the next object, the next one. And here we have it. Now, if we go view this show route, now we have machined the first half of the enterprise. Now we're going to go to view display route arrow, and we're going to continue our machining. Now, we have a full circle. This is a full circle. Now, we want to do, in this case, we want to do up milling. So the milling tool is turning clockwise. And what we want to do, we want to machine in that direction. Because the circle, a full circle, the 0 is always, the 0 degree is always toward the right. Now, if we click below the 0 degree line, it will machine this way. If we click above, it will machine this way. So we're going to click slightly above the 0 degree, and we're going to machine it exactly so like this. So the arrow is pointing this way, which means it's starting over here and machining that completely and finishing where the arrow is. Now, we're going to do the same thing for the 2 engine. We're going to click the left mouse button on, that. We can use the top. Let's do it from the top. We're going to click the left mouse button over here, and we continue the routing sequence there and there. Now, as I said before, the arrow is where the machining ends. So it starts from here, goes around, and finishes over here. Same thing over here. It starts over. The CNC moved in the air, went all the way this way, and this is the end of the arrow, and did the next one. The reason why over here we can see 2 small arrows is probably that in the drawing there was a small gap, and we're going to just zoom it just to see what this gap is. It's not really, it's not going to affect the drawing in any bad way because it is small, but let's just zoom it to have a look at what this gap is. So we go to the zoom menu, We click on window and we select that gap. We zoom it. We're going to zoom it more. We go again, zoom, view, or zoom window, and we're going to click again, zoom window, and again. And now we can see what it was. Basically, there's a small gap between the two shapes, and I'm going to do a zoom reset, and this is why we have two arrows. If the object coincides exactly, there will be no gap. But this gap is so small, it is not relevant. Now we're going to continue to route the other engine. So we're going to click on here. We keep on machining to do up, basically up milling. Now we're going to machine the engine. We're going to start over here, and we're going to machine the V shape of the Star Trek Enterprise holding the engine. There we go. It's been machined, and we're going to machine last the other half of the Star Trek. We can start over here, and we're going to completely define its machining sequence. Obviously, if we have trouble to select the proper line, all we can do is we zoom window where we want, we click on it, and then we zoom out. And obviously, it keeps us in the last menu command it was, so that's quite convenient. So now we have a complete definition of the Star Trek Enterprise. We can do view, show, route, so we can see out of this ½ plastic, we have a complete machining definition of the Star Trek Enterprise. Obviously, this is something that we would like to save. We're going to select Star Trek Enterprise wood. We're going to call it complete. Completed. Now, the last thing we need to do is to export the G code. It's quite easy, but before we will do a quick configuration of the setting, we're going to go to the configuration panel, and we're going to do, in this case, a quick setting just to get the G code out, for our very first guess. So we go to quick setting, and we're going to select the material that we want. In this case, we are machining out of hardwood because plywood is quite hard, and this will give us speed that is slightly slower for plywood. We click on hardwood, and in this case our CNC has stepper motor in the X, Y, and Z. Also, in this particular case, we are using RoutBot CNC, but if we were using, for example, Mach 3, we could select Mach 3. Now, what we need to do is, this is a very, very, very quick way to configure the G code. Obviously, we can go back in the G code option and individually configure each option more precisely. But for a very first quick setting, we can use this quick setting to configure the G code. And obviously, based on experimentation, we can fine-tune the G code, the setting of the G code to get a better result, or the setting of the speed, so on and so forth. But if we want to do this quick setting, we also got to make sure that we click on Apply, and we click on, we don't have to save it in this particular case, but at least we must click on Apply to make sure that this setting are current. Now, if we go back and see what this setting gave us, these are the settings that will occur for the G code based on those settings, and these are the speed that we will get. Basically, we can see those speeds are quite slow for wood. So now we're happy with all that, and we're going to export the G code. So we go to Machine, and we export G code, and we click on OK. Now we're going to make sure that we enter a file. We're going to enter Star Trek. We're going to cut it to 3 in this case, Star Trek 3. So it's exporting two files, .rs, which is a native route script format that RoutBot CNC can understand. And obviously, the most famous format is the G-code.nc that RoutBot CNC can understand. Mac 3, Mac 4, or almost any CNC controller can understand G-code. And obviously, we got another warning message because it basically tells us we must be careful to clamp the material properly because the depth of cut that we have specified is deeper than the plywood thickness. And we click on OK. And the last thing that will be done after this is to take this G-code that we have produced, bring it on CNC with Mac 3, for example. In our case, we are using RoutBot CNC. With RoutBot CNC and machine this Star Trek Enterprise out of plywood.